Hello, my name is TP Cancelled. You can call me TBC if you'd like, and I'm back here with another tutorial. This one comes from Touthead. The mind blower left a comment on my last tutorial video saying basically, can you do a how to make dubstep basses and how to make a drop that goes good with a build-up. And I made this. So what is that? Well, basically a dubstep drop, from how I decided to make it. There's three main parts to what you're listening to. You have your drum section, your growl bass, and your screech, is what I like to call it. So let's get into the drums. Drums are fairly easy with dubstep. Simple half-step rhythm. Kick on the first downbeat, and on the third downbeat, a snare. And you can do this sort of rhythm with it on the second time around, but nothing too harsh. Eighth note hi-hats, crash on the snare. Very punchy drums. Unfortunately, I couldn't get them quite punchy enough. These are just what I could find from Fruity Loop's stock samples, but they work good enough for me, so let's go ahead and get into more or less the main part, the dubstep bass or the growl, and how I made it. Pretty gnarly sounding bass, if I do say so myself. But how did I make it? Well, I'll give you a hint. I randomly started messing around and I had a sound and went, yeah, I guess this will work. I went into the digital section because something told me that this is where I'd find, well, a good amount of gnarly wavetables, and I found some. I found Razor and I found Scream. So what you want to do is go to digital, down to Razor, and on oscillator B, go to digital, Scream. You're going to drop one octave on the Razor here, but just by clicking and dragging. You can do this just by like that, and drop 2 octaves here on the Scream. You're going to set your unison to 3 and your detune to roughly 0.5 or 0.6. I guess I use 0.6, and 3 in the unison here, and 31 for the Scream. You can do 30 in roughly that area. For the sub, just a simple sub bass, sine shape, drop 1 octave, about 50% level. Now for the course on each one of these, you're going to make an envelope, as you see here, very similar to this, sort of like a bell curve, like a pluck, with a very quick attack time, fairly large decay time, and 0% sustain. You can use these exact parameters. It's 715 milliseconds for decay and 383 milliseconds for release, and you put this on your course pitch, and what it'll do is drop the course pitch from higher up down to its original state, so it's sort of like a pitch fall. And you can hear that. Next, you want to take an LFO similar to this and put it on your wavetable position for each of these, so it'll drag down from its position. You can see it kind of move in Serum. And those are it being modulated. Next, you're going to turn on your filter, and I literally just went to flangs, and you can kind of pick any one of these, to be honest, because I just picked a random one. I picked PHS 48H6-, and I put the cutoff to about 1500 hertz, and modulated it with the same LFO, so it would move up and down. So it would go up and slide down to the position where it was. Now for the effects. Distortion, tube, drive, crank it up to about 3 o'clock. Flanger, I basically just turned it on, went, yeah, it's about right. Same thing with the phaser. Compressor, turn on the multiband. Work with your threshold at about -8 decibels, a ratio of 4:1, attack of 42 milliseconds, a release of 90 milliseconds, and a little bit of gain. For your reverb, I basically just turned it on, moved the low cut all the way down, the high cut all the way up. Make sure to put it to Hall and size, about 25%. And this is, again, all to make it sound bigger, in a sense. Because without all this, you get something that sounds like this. Not very satisfying. But as you turn things on, and especially the compressor here, it gets bigger. Last but not least, you want to turn on mono and legato and turn the porta up to about 80 milliseconds. What this will do is basically create it so you can make these sliding notes like I have here. and you can do stuff like that. To be honest, you won't ever need it to be anything other than mono, because if you're doing harmonies with this type of bass, I don't think it'll sound very well. But I guess it's up to you. That's how I made this bass. Now, for the screech sound, as I call it, there's two main parts to this. The first thing is the actual synth itself, and you can probably look up a tutorial on this anywhere. It's kind of a Zomboy style screech, fairly popular. Basically, go to analog BD sign, pick two of these, turn the octave up 4 times on one, and use this type of envelope, again, this sort of bell curve to modulate the coarse, and that's about it. Go to your FX tab, turn on hyper dimension, size at about 9 o'clock, mix not too high. You turn tube oscillator on with the drive all the way up, go threshold just a little bit down, gain a little bit up, and turn on reverb, basically, turn the mix to that, and you have this. Very simple, right? Nothing too powerful. The second part is the actual rhythm itself. These are called triplets, and you can make these by going to this little magnet looking thing and setting it to 1/3 step. And these are triplet eighth notes. And what it means is the 3 eighth notes fit into one beat, where usually only 2 eighth notes fit into a beat. These are regular eighth notes, right? So these triplet eighth notes, they're still technically in beat, but they sound off beat, and it's pretty rad sounding. So it's kind of an edgy thing that a lot of people in trap music, big room, and dubstep like to do, and it sounds cool, and it's pretty common. So this is how you get this sound. I'm also going to do a little bit of a sidechain tutorial right now. How I sidechain is you go to your whatever insert you have your kick on. Mine's on insert 1. You basically click this arrow and take the volume. It should be like here. You turn it all the way down. Go ahead and open up limiter, fruity limiter, and what you'll see is, first off, you have this. Turn all this down, and you can turn the ceiling all the way up, but I'm not going to because the synth is loud. Turn the threshold up, the ratio up, and move this from this 3 lines to 1, and you'll have it slide. And you can see here, it moves it down when the kick hits. Basically, that's to make sure the kick comes through the mix, especially when you have such bassy sounds like that, and obviously you can't just EQ the bass out of a bass. It's not how it works, so you have to make room for it one way, and that's how you do it. And that's how I made this. I hope you learned something today. I hope you can take something away from this. Towhead, I hope this answered your question for you. Go ahead and leave a like if you liked this video and you learned something. Subscribe if you want to see more content. Comment below if you want to see a specific type of tutorial in the future. And another thing, if you want these samples, this sound, if you want this growl sound, I'd be happy to give it to you guys. Just let me know if you really want it. I'll like make a media fire link or something. I'll put it in the description afterwards. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys have a nice day, and goodbye.